Today's podcast episode, I actually want to have a little chat about the sorts of things that I would do if I were at a level that you probably are when it comes to AI and interior design, because the conversations that I'm having, firstly, are permeated with overwhelm. Like everybody that I speak to is starting to notice this wave of experts and AI strategists. And I feel a bit cringe even having that in my Insta bio, but I've earned it. And I actually do know what I'm talking about. So I feel like I can't take it down. It's like in principle, I've doubled down and I'm like, no, I am actually strategizing with AI on how to improve interior design businesses and have been doing this for years. Those people who have hit the ground with a strategy completely created by Claude and without integrity and without authenticity, I can see you from space. Just out of principle, I'm not going to retract myself from my expertise to keep myself small so that you can have a slice of the noise. Like that's just not my style. I mention that because noise is a really good word for that. Overwhelm feels like an AI word, but it is overwhelming to think about. I'm not going to dismiss how everybody is feeling. The world is overwhelming at the moment. There's so much going on, and it can be hard to add something to the pressure, the feeling, the pressure. I feel like we're in pressure cooker, and add another ingredient to that recipe, and one that's as large as something like artificial intelligence. To insert that into my business right now when all this other stuff is going on feels sometimes like an enormous feat. And yes, I see all these micro possibilities with like, you can do this, you can do that, this task, this productivity hack, this shortcut. Claude can do this for you. Claude can take it over. Nobody's telling you how. Like Claude, you don't just open up Claude and say, oh, you need to do all these things. You need to know how to use the large language model. You need to know how to set it up, and it needs to know the beating, bleeding heart of your business. It needs to understand you in a wildly specific way before it can action things properly. Obviously, I'm not going to get to that in one podcast episode, but I do want to talk about the general landscape out there. So at networking events, I'm getting DMs, emails, private coaching. I had someone book a private coaching call yesterday who called me to talk them off the ledge and, sort of really needed coaching around, is this technology going to replace me as a creative? And we spoke a lot about the reframing and the opportunities and the possibilities. I actually ran a webinar probably about 18 months ago about how to articulate your value in a world where artificial intelligence can replicate some design possibilities. It is a skill that I think everybody needs to sharpen, really understanding how to articulate your value and how to pitch that to potential clients in terms of why they would pay you your design fees rather than go and execute this themselves using an AI tool. It's absolutely more relevant now than it even was 18 months ago when I was talking about it. Essentially, it was talking more around the capabilities and what AI cannot do that you do, and that remains very true, and I'll get into that later in the episode. This person who was booking a private coaching session really just wanted me to help block out that white noise of experts and it's become a default state on social media that everyone's screaming, Claude killed interior designers. And trust me, I could not help but reply to that person that said that with like, I just checked, my pulse is fine, like I'm not in any risk. And I truly believe that. And I get why it feels so overwhelming, because sometimes it's like going from zero to hero for you guys. Like you've been mildly aware and then you've gone to have a play, and the version of which you're first getting to know is extremely powerful. Or you've been in the AI space for a little while and you have been evolving with it in each of its models. And then when you get down to using it, I would say even at a intermediate level, you start to see the power of what it can do. That is very overwhelming. That is absolutely going to make you want to slam your laptop shut like you've just, I don't know, seen something online that you really shouldn't. There's also the existential stuff. So that stuff is real. I'm a human too. I worry all the time. There are serious people having serious conversations about what this technology means for humanity long term. And I'm not going to ever stand here and tell you that's not worth thinking about. I have not drunk the Kool-Aid. I don't walk around yelling like, yeah, get it, AI, everything. Like I love, love, love. There's heaps of things that I'm concerned about as a citizen of the world. And I do find it hard to sleep at night and reconcile everything that's going on across the world in general. There is more than just AI that is really, really concerning at the moment. And I'm also a person navigating this. But I guess I'm sort of landing with it's here, it's not going anywhere. And there are heaps of wins for small studio owners specifically. There's genuine, practical, non scary things that you can implement into your business that are not cybersecurity risks and they're not too dangerous. If you know where to look, there are heaps of places that you can implement some real structure and change in the back end of your business and stop feeling like you're on that hamster wheel of busy all the time. In this episode, I want to share 3 or 4 things that I would do this week if I was starting from scratch and I needed to prioritize my attention, because actually that is what we need to do. We need to understand where to point that attention without getting grabbed by people screaming that Claude just killed interior designers and oh my God, Claude hack and this coding thing and these managed agents and Claude just dropped routines and Anthropic just dropped 4.7 Opus. Yes, all of those things just happened, except the killing of the interior designers. But which of them needed your attention right now? Honestly, from my perspective, none of them. Many of you will not be anywhere near up to working on designing workflows and managed agents and understanding MCPs and APIs and nodes and how to connect things. It's not your circus, not your monkeys. Like, get there, sure, like later. But for now, what if you could just have some quick wins in your business? So that's what we're doing today. Thing 1, 4 minutes of your time. Go and look at Claude. If you are just using ChatGPT, you are missing out on a very powerful tool. Anthropic has charged ahead and is taking the lead right now as a large language model. ChatGPT is not dead. I wouldn't get rid of it. I still use it myself on the daily, but they operate very differently. And if you're not sure what the difference is, let me frame it this way for you. ChatGPT is like, when you have that business bestie and maybe you went through training together and you went through your career together, you've worked together for ages, and then you're catching up for dinner in a Moroccan restaurant and you get there and you drop your bag down and then you sit down and you like fill her in on everything and like had to manage this staff member and then she cried and I couldn't believe that he'd done this and then blah, blah, blah. And like a therapist, a best friend, a voice note, a good time, some brainstorming, like I think you should do this, or, oh yeah, that's interesting. What if we did it like this? And that is ChatGPT right now. Your therapist, your brand buddy, useful, great to unpack what's happening in my head. I'm also using my virtual boardroom because I spent the best part of a year designing these incredible tools into ChatGPT. And I have threads of strategy and conversations between certain specialists or GPTs inside of my ChatGPT that are like spinning gold. If I go in there, I'm just going to get what I need straight away. So I'm not going to mess with it. If it ain't broke, I ain't fixing it. I have replicated those GPTs over into Claude and they perform very differently over there. So I will get to that in a moment. So ChatGPT, bit of a therapist, bestie, we're going to go there, we're going to unpack things. And also we're not going to run out of tokens as much. So if you are a voice memo beast like I am, you're going to really like to go to chat, press the microphone, walk all around town, drop my kids at school being like, yeah, and then for my LinkedIn long form content this week, I'm thinking this. And do you think that's the best use of my attention right now? Blah, 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 blah. I'm going to do that in chat. And then when chat comes back to me, I'm going to say, hey, go back to that voice memo and give me a really tight synopsis of everything that I was actually asking and doing. And then I take the synopsis over to Claude. And this is how I minimize my token use. If you have not visited Claude yet, you won't know what I mean in terms of running out of session times or tokens, because Claude thinks very differently and acts very differently to ChatGPT. So sometimes I'm using ChatGPT to just like flesh out my ideas without spending tokens, right? No coins, no harm, no foul, no coins. It's all good. And then I'm taking more concise ideas over to Claude. ChatGPT also probably holds a lot of context for you that you might not have yet been able to brief Claude into. So for me, I have context layers and huge documents that live externally, and I've mapped Google Drives and Notion and everything to talk to whichever tool I'm using. If it's Chat, if it's Claude, if it's Gemini, whatever I'm using, it's kind of pulling back into my external documentation, which is amazing and everything that I want for you in the future. But if you're not there yet, maybe chat's a good place for you to go back to your previous context as well, because you have had a lot of previous conversations. So if you're thinking out loud, plotting next moves, you want to chat to that dinner bestie, business bestie that knows your history and your general approach to things and the way you think. Okay. That brings us to Claude. How is Claude different? In so many different ways, but I liken Claude in my mind to Lord Business from the Lego movie. Okay, so all seeing, all doing, straight to the point. You give it context, it executes. There's less personality, but so much more capability. So it's the chief of staff. It's the person that you put into the business. So many of you come in to work with me wanting to hire an office manager, hire a VA, you're desperate for help. Treat Claude like that. Claude is executive assistant. It's your business brain. You go there every morning. You have a morning briefing. You know, I've set up these different automations in Claude whereby we're briefing little Lord Business as to what we're doing today, what goals are we moving towards. Like I'm the founder and the CEO, but I'm sort of orchestrating what I need from a business sense. So the chief of staff. And it's interesting to me because ChatGPT and Claude were operating at much of a muchness in early 2024. They are not doing that anymore. So I would go and use Claude from time to time and get something pretty same or similar to chat. So I was like, okay, you don't need me to move anywhere. What I'm building in chat is incredible. OpenAI was leading the game. That is not the case anymore. Anthropic is absolutely leading the game and ChatGPT is playing catch up. OpenAI are panicking. They lost 250,000 users in one weekend to Claude. And Claude are just like leaps and bounds bringing out new functionality and people are getting to see what's possible and losing their mind. Even last week, Canva brought out Canva AI, like a complete glow up. And it's incredible. If you get Claude to connect to Canva, you can hands off get all of the marketing assets designed in your brand kit. If you've spent the time building those guidelines and you don't have to oversee anything, it's really refreshing, actually. I've used Canva and done my own marketing and so on for the 8 years. And it's a big part of what I do that doesn't, it does essentially bring in new eyes, but it doesn't feel like it is the revenue driver versus the amount of time it takes me to create those assets. So I am loving this new thing. And if you haven't played with Canva AI, don't get distracted. I said this was a 4-minute task. Go and meet Claude. So I don't want you going down a rabbit hole with Canva AI, but be aware that it is here and maybe set some time to just look at some key creators that you trust in the Canva space specifically and what they're communicating are some of the major changes because they're really cool. That was task 1. Compare Claude and ChatGPT this week. So maybe put the same prompt into both tools and see what you notice. See how they behave differently. I'm not telling you to go and sign up for paid Claude. However, when it comes to subscriptions, it's a no-brainer for me to sign up for $30 a month to be able to do the things that I have done. And even that I'm moving to enterprise or business, the like $200 a month. The reason is the sorts of things that I need to create for my business. Whenever I speak to designers about getting a VA, or getting serious about delegating work, outsourcing work, I talk to them about their budget, and it is almost always more than $200 for a month's worth of having a VA. For me to invest $200 into Claude and for me to be able to automate and set up repeatable tasks in a way that it will become whatever VA I need it to be and do it in a hands-off way, that makes complete financial sense to me and my business and the amount of time that is freed up from me doing what is essentially legwork that could be done by a robot. So that's food for thought. If that helps you in that reframing thing, you can always downsize your subscription later. And I don't work for any of these models. I don't have an affiliate link for you. I am not trying to push you into anything you're not financially ready for. But I do think if you're one of the designers that I maybe coached in the framework, in the OG framework in 2022, you are definitely going to be in a place in your business now in 2026 where you feel unsupported. You don't have a VA and you don't want to keep trying different staff members and they don't do it the way you want it to do. Maybe the $200 a month is a real answer for you because you design it exactly as you want it. You can be as bossy and specific and not care as much about, oh, that looks really great, and then go and redesign it or whatever. You can get this right. It's not what I'm specifically talking about in this episode, but I think it's food for thought. And if you are a designer that's 3 or more years into your business, it could be a really economical way to build the team that you need. Second thing that I would do, I would do a 5-minute audit of your own business operations. So, not building a project in Claude, not getting distracted by skills. Like the Claude thing that I would do immediately is just go and meet Claude and try it out. But I also want you to get a pen and paper, pencil and workbook, whatever. We're going to mind map for a little bit for 5 minutes. Sit with yourself and honestly ask, what in my business is repetitive, manual, slightly soul destroying? Is there anything that like does not light me up? And I know if I could pay a staff member and just show them the standard procedure, like the steps, step 1 through to 10 of what I want done, what jobs like that are in my business. Because if you have jobs like that in your business, it is so easy for you to go and create something that means that AI takes that off your hands. But if you don't know what that is yet, you can't go and create it. So this is just a planning phase. Most designers don't realize that AI isn't like giving you kind of crappy outputs or slow because it's bad at the task you're asking. It's because it doesn't know your business. It doesn't have your brand voice, your project processes, your pricing logic, and the 40 things you do between inquiry and sending an invoice. If it knows that, it can mimic that. Like we do actually have to train AI. And to a point where yesterday I was creating things with one of my private coaching clients, and we were basically briefing it in on the whole onboarding process and then creating a repeatable way to just say, here's the client's name, here's the transcript, go do the onboarding. And that's available to all of you right now. And it's not that hard to do. Any large language model, ChatGPT, Claude can give you incredible results. But if you don't have your context built out externally or internally, or if you don't even know yet, sometimes you don't know, that's okay. We don't know what we don't know. If you've never mapped out end-to-end touch points, you've never done that in your business, or maybe you haven't, you don't need to do another course. I really don't think that's the best use of time right now. I think it's just get that paper out and really think like, what would I need to tell Claude or ChatGPT so that it understood what I'm saying when I say we want to do this. Like even like your weekly content, if I said I want to map out my content for this week, does it know what your points of view are? Does it know what you stand for, what hills you'll die on? Does it know what your general philosophy is in design? Like what does it know about you? Because we might be starting from scratch and then you're going to get a scratchy, start from scratch, crappy result effectively. So the question I want you to pose on that piece of paper is not like, what can AI do for me, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, what do I do repeatedly that I could document in 10 minutes? Just start there. Because you might get 3 or 4 things on that piece of paper and then spend 30 minutes over this week and then never have to do those things again. And that is worth actual focus. And when I say 5 minutes, I'm not being facetious. I'm being serious. Over the school holidays, I set myself a task of 20 minutes per day just to look at do a bit of a health check on my own business, which some things surprised and horrified me, I won't lie. And others were like delightful, like, oh yeah, like that brand command is kick-ass. Like I've spent ages making it and like AI really loves it, but maybe AI doesn't like the way my Google Drive is mapped, or I rebuilt 12 Claude skills in one day between folding baskets of washing. And if you're following along on Instagram, you will have seen all of this. Some things were a massive flop. I tried to use agent mode again in ChatGPT and it was just terrible. Do not waste your time right now. But I did cancel $400 worth of subscriptions, which was amazing, that I didn't need. And the point was like the cleaner that the background of your business gets, the faster all of the other AI can be like, yep, got it, girl, got you back, know what you're doing. Here's what we're doing this week. And it's just, when you see it firing on all cylinders, it's incredible. It's just so incredible. And this is not a pitch for Studio Build because that course sold out in 24 hours. I was so excited. So the beta round is going live on the 5th of May. We'll run it for 6 weeks. The waitlist will open for the first real round post beta. Do I recommend doing it? Absolutely. But if you don't do it, at least look at the curriculum and think, yep, that's something I need to do. Yep, that's something I need to do. And you can kind of follow the path that we're all doing collectively together and get your business tidied up, because you will notice an enormous difference in the way the AI tools that you're paying for just suddenly start to get it and work in a way that's like, that's a bit scary. I didn't write that. Okay. Thing three, I would invest in my AI literacy. That does sound like it's a pitch for Studio Build, but I'm not talking about Studio Build. It doesn't have to cost you anything. When I say invest in focus and time is still an investment. We're very busy people, right? There is so much free learning available right now, and there is, in my mind, no excuse for staying confused. Choosing to TikTok rot instead of watching a little YouTube clip that could help your AI literacy, it is a choice. I'm not going to say whether it's the right or wrong choice, but I am going to say you're making a choice. Like if you tell me, oh, I'm just confused, I don't know where to start, fantastic, I get that. But ChatGPT and Claude both have their own learning resources. They have full courses. You can get accreditation in AI education. I've done many of these courses myself. Anthropic has guides, libraries. Google has full AI courses. There's university level accreditations that you can do online for free right now. And I'm not saying that you should. And I'm not saying, we're designers. You don't want to be an AI strategist or you don't want to go all in on AI, but maybe there's an area that you don't understand. Really smart people have built learning outcomes and tutorials that are available right now for free. So if you're going, I'm seeing all this stuff about Claude skills, but I'm too embarrassed to admit I have no idea what that is. How would I learn about that? You can learn about that. You don't have to do Studio Build. I will teach you that inside of there, but you can absolutely go and learn it. I wasn't born knowing what a Claude skill is or what excellent looks like, or, it's trial and error. I built a few that I don't like and I've uninstalled them. That might not make any sense to you right now if you're just meeting Claude, and that's fine. Like, I do not want to add to the overwhelm. Just ignore that until you need it. But know that there is help for you in terms of micro education and macro education and all the education, and so much of it is for free. You just need to, maybe don't seek it out on TikTok or from people that you don't trust or you don't know. If you haven't seen them do that with their own businesses, if you haven't seen them coding and breaking and learning and showing up, then they may not be the right fit for you. They may just be generating content that sounds like they know what they're talking about, and you might be better off going and watching a TED Talk or seeing a little YouTube clip. Just be really careful where you consume your content and whether or not they are teaching you something that is technically correct or safe or helpful. It's worth finding. I've got one or two creators that I really like to engage with because they align with my values. They're not screaming that interior design is dead and Claude just killed web developers and Claude's killed this and Claude's the best. And they're much more aligned with my philosophy around human-led artificial intelligence and what ethical AI insertion into your businesses and lives looks like. I'm not joking though, within 6 months, you could come out at the other side with free education knowing as much about this topic as I do. You don't need to, but you can. So the information is there. I'm not exaggerating. Start with YouTube. Listen to back episodes of my podcast. There's a really good one where I chat to a very good friend and fellow AI strategist, Jess Clark, and we nerd out a little bit, and it was way back when. So might get her back on the podcast maybe so that we can have a more candid conversation about what happened when she's just recently been on maternity leave and she's returned, and we've been chatting daily and really getting stuck into it because why else? Everyone needs a nerd friend, right? You can follow along with her stuff, follow along with my stuff. Just look for people who have your best interests at heart is my point. Just try to avoid that sort of tech bro energy that's all I see so many of them come on and they're like, I've built this managed agents and this blah, blah, blah. And I can see and understand by the screen share that they do not know what they're doing. And those agents cannot be executed. I can debug it by looking at it, but the average person cannot. Looking at that, they're just going, wow, that's impressive. Yeah, it looks shiny on the outside. So be careful what you consume, like everything, but definitely start saying, once a week, I'm going to find a good YouTube clip that explains something that could help me in my design business. So the goal is not to become an AI expert. You can leave that with me, or you can come and see me. As well with the learnings, I do private sessions. I do group sessions. If you've got a bunch of people in your firm and you want to do a 90-minute, powerful learn what's going on and really level up, we design them, I design them bespoke to your needs. Just like a design consultation, I get on the phone, find out what's freaking you out, find out where you're at with your AI literacy and meet you where you're at and design something that takes you further. Those are available every day of the week. And I just think like everything, sometimes you invest money, sometimes you invest time, whatever you're investing, just know it's worth it for you. The way that it is advancing, we are so close to a full restructure of society and the workforce. And yeah, I think we want to be part of that because none of us like working at 9 p.m. at night still doing things. We're not going to go out and become an AI expert, but I want you to be fluent enough to make good decisions for your business and to be driving those decisions. Like, what do you actually think? Do you prefer ChatGPT? Do you prefer Claude? What do you want? What are you looking for? I feel like that meme from the Notebook. Like, what do you want? You may not know yet, but it's good to start exploring. So a couple of minutes on that. Those are the 3 things that I would start doing this week. 15 minutes of your time, not a lot, but really start feeling like, okay, I've made some forward momentum. You might have already checked some of those off. You might already be using Claude, and you might want to point your 5 minutes into a secondary piece of education. The thing that I'd stop doing right now is chasing image generation. Okay. I wrote a LinkedIn piece on that this week. You can go and find it on my LinkedIn, and it's a little bit spiky and a little bit sassy because, this one's costing designers time that they just don't have. At every speaking gig that I've done in the last 2 years, there's a line at the end for people that just want to engage with this is my individual circumstance and what I'm doing and what I'm struggling with. And every single one of them says to me, oh my God, I've spent days trying to insert AI here to do my renders properly and to do the render work that I need. And I'm ready to scream. I'm about to give up on AI entirely. Personally, I spent the good half back end of last year building Quinn, a GPT for interior designers to use. Now, Quinn has instructions in the back end where she grayscales up the 3D model and gets your approval. She has so many instructions in the back end and she's still not that good. Like, honestly, she's good, but she's not that good. And the reason is, and let me break it down and explain it the way I do to the people that stop me at the end of the chat. It's like trying to shove a square peg in a round hole. That's not what the tools are for. They are large language models. They are pattern recognition. They are language first, image text, image second, if at all. They predict the next most likely token, word, pixel, whatever, based on training data. They're not spatial. They are not details oriented. Oh my God, we know that. Please stop adding rando lava lamps in my renders. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. They do not understand what makes a room work, how a room feels. That's not a flaw in AI. That is not an AI problem. That is actually a feature for you. That is a flex. That is your ability to hold the full brief and to know materialistically what it should feel like before you've ordered samples even. It's how you understand proportion and light and spatial design and how a client is going to function in that space. And that is not something a language model will ever be able to take from you. That is your edge. Once again, go watch the webinar that's in the show notes when I talk a little bit more about that. But I want to explain how, when you ask for something, how an image generation actually happens. So first and foremost, if you upload an image like your own SketchUp image, 2D, for example, it is going to read that image as a color pixel. So black ink, white ink, green ink, yellow ink, black ink, white ink, like pixels in their order. It's not going to read living room, kitchen. It's not making any assumptions that this is even a floor plan, okay? We think it is not. And I think it's really important for designers listening. Like, if you can take any education out of this particular episode, I think this is the moment. Image generation does not meet you at your perfectionism. It is not details oriented. It is not a designer. It does not understand what you're trying to communicate with it. And I think that is also because when we prompt in any way, so we look at the likes of Nano Banana, and the average user is like, it was so cool. I told it what I wanted my room to look like and feel like, and awesome. And then it came out and it was like this modern, organic, really amazing wood cabin or whatever, right? And you're like, I'm a professional designer and I can't even get it to basically interpret what I'm saying. The reason is the specificity and the detail and the the knowledge base and education that you have, you over prompt it. So you actually prompt, I want a 60 millimeter waterfall island bench in the Taj Mahal. I want, this lip on, or I want this bullnose. I want that. You've got the language that absolutely confuses it. And then you get this like really strange interpretation from Nano Banana, and you're kind of like, where did that plant come from, or what is that? And it's because we're overeducated in terms of the prompt. And sometimes I'm like, be more detailed in your prompts. And sometimes I think the reason clients think it works for interior design is because they're not factoring in plugging the actual image into the reality. And you've already moved 15 moves forwards where you're looking at building documentation and the detail that matters, and they're not. They're just going, wouldn't it be cool if we like had a nib wall here, or like, imagine like, show it to me if the floors were dark. Show it to me in light. Whereas you are specifying a particular oak from a particular brand, and then just getting frustrated when it's going dark floors, light floors, dark floors, light floors. It doesn't have the capacity. Hear me now when I say this. This is a massive win for you, okay? What I would love to see designers doing, what I would actually love to see designers doing on like a large scale basis is working on that business infrastructure and offloading all that admin stuff and getting a system that triages your emails and you're only having to reply to the things that really need your attention, and building an EA and a productivity assistant that understands your neurodiverse ways of thinking, and, thinking about who would the dream staff be in my office if I could hire them all today, and what would their roles be, and then mapping out their job descriptions, and then building those job descriptions into Claude, and then automating it over into Claude, and all of that requires your attention in time, and that is a great use of outsourcing. But if you get that right, what that leaves you free to do is your own bloody renders. Sorry, but in this industry, I basically think most of us love to play in SketchUp. We love to do concept development. That's the creative work. I am happy to mock up an image on site to show you something I'm thinking, like quickly being like, okay, let me show you like what it looks like if it's a warm caramelly vein in a like mirror ball by Caesar stone on the bench top, and then let me show you if I did something really dramatic and we were looking at something like a Calcutta viola, something really dramatic. Let me show you that. Cool. Great use of image generation. Mock them both up, share them with your client. Amazing. They get the gist, and that's all it is. But I'm not doing a 3D render that's detailed and that's about, representing my work at times of final presentation using any AI tools. And you will see paid ones and you will see all this stuff. You can do a really good job at like taking a floor plan and applying like a watercolor feature to it so it looks really nice in the concept pack. Or there's a lot that you can do with what you've got without turning yourself inside out, because it will not listen or be as detailed oriented and perfectionist as you. That's your job. Its job. It could do so many other things. Put it in its Lord business like domain and let it run sick and do everything. And you focus on being the interior designer that you are and what you charge for, right? So you can say like, I do my own renders, so that you really are walking through the selections that we've chosen, and I know that they are at proportion and scale. Okay, that was just a mini inserted TED talk about why designers are frustrated, and I think it's really important that you understand it, because you could be wasting a lot of time trying to get that square peg in that round hole. Okay, so if this episode added to your overwhelm, I've done it wrong, and it was never my intention. Come and chat to me in my DMs on Instagram over at @the_Rhiannon Lee, and get stuck into your 3 things this week. That's it. Go look at Claude. Spend 5 minutes on the business. Like what sort of tasks do you think you could feasibly love to hand over? What does good look like? Maybe have 2 columns, things that are ready to go now, and the next dream ones that you'd like to automate. Watch one free video that improves your AI literacy. Just go to YouTube and pick anything. Go to my YouTube channel, please, and subscribe. And there's already like 5 or 6 amazing little micro learnings. They're like 6 minutes that are specifically designed for interior designers to get the quick win from AI. They're free. They're there. Start there. You don't have to do everything, and you don't have to listen to everybody. You just have to do something that isn't nothing and feel like you're making that commitment to being in the AI conversation. Lovely to be in your ears again this week. Looking forward to it next Thursday. Bye for now.